Good evening, everyone. Tonight is the meeting of the Capital Improvement Committee, and we'd like to start with our minutes of our last meeting. I've given you all a copy if you have looked at them. I'd like a motion to accept them.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor? That's our December 12th meeting. Okay. If you look at tonight's agenda, I thought we'd go into new business first, the engineering RFP. You have copies, each one of you has copies of the proposal from TRC, and I didn't make all the copies from Bureau Veritas, but I believe I have enough I can share with the two of you when we get to that one.
That's not the one that we already had before.
Yeah, that's the one we had before. To get these, I thought I'd just go over. I was asked by our liaison to come up with a scope of work which we had talked about for this assessment. And at that time, it was municipal building, the, in quotes, gym building and parking lot, fire department building and parking lot, transfer station building and parking lot. The main objective of the facilities conditional assessment was to measure the conditions and the functionality of the buildings and its infrastructure as suitable and appropriate for the intended functions. This I had sent to Tom McGurty as liaison and to our town administrator, Jennifer Rue. With this assessment that I sent to her, Tom asked me also for the names, just to look up the names of companies, consultants who would do this kind of work. And one was Bureau Veritas, the contact was Cheyenne Irby, and another one was Plymouth Engineering and Emmanuel Engineering. Those were the three I sent to her. Jennifer had a list of others that she had. So she sent this out to quite a few people.
Okay.
Good job, good job. The facilities assessment really, as I said, it's a comprehensive assessment of all buildings, building systems, and infrastructure, including but not limited to accessibility compliance, ADA, and outside ventilation. It also, there is a scope of work that falls under the ASTM E2018, the Standard Guide for Property Conditions. And if you're in that business, that's something that you know, and that's kind of your baseline. So we got, I believe, two in, one from Bureau Veritas, which came in at about $10,000, and one from another company, which is TRC, for a little more than that, but there's been some negotiations, or could be negotiations on both sides to make adjustments. So right now, we're not particularly held into, oh, which one's better, which one's worse, which one's more expensive, which one.
These are just bids to do the job.
Yes, it's who is the best one to do the job. I've had, I got these last Wednesday. The one from Bureau Veritas, they were here quite a while ago, so I've had that for some time. But TRC they came in last week and a gentleman, Mike, oops, I don't want to be impolite about this. I thought I had his name, but I guess I don't, so please excuse me. But this very nice gentleman came up from South Carolina
Oh, wow.
and did his, talked to us, told us what they would do. There were more discussions. I understand when the report came in, when the, FR came in with our liaison. So, looking at both of these, I was told by the town administrator, thank you, and
Mike or Michelle?
that's Michelle. That's somebody else. Ah, yes, Mike Harwood was the gentleman we saw here who gave the presentation. So, thank him for that. So, anyway, Jennifer had said to me, she didn't know if we were gonna ask to give our advice or not. That would be a selectman decision if we were, but I think we should have something to say to them. We should, look at these, make sure what we're seeing. And my feeling is, looking at them, I think TRC, with a little negotiation on price, would be the way to go. They seem to know exactly, and they're actually a little more local. They're all over the country, but they have an office in Scarborough.
Okay.
And Bureau Veritas, where it's no disrespect at all or anything, their offices are in the Washington DC area.
Oh, wow.
They're not a local kind of government, a local company, so to speak. That they have done plenty of work in Maine, that's for sure. But that's only, as chairman, that's only my opinion. It doesn't have to be your opinion. But, so I would like you to look, and as I say, there would have to be some negotiating done, because if you do look at page 2 in this sheet, you will see they are quite a bit higher than Bureau Veritas. And the way the train here moves, getting things done, and getting them done in a timely fashion, it probably, they have looked at, all three, they would look at the town buildings, the fire department and safety building, and the transfer station. Well, if you've been watching the select board meetings, there's a lot going on with the transfer station right now. And it might behoove us to put them on hold, because they may need their own special thing done. And so if we took that out of here, we could probably get them to negotiate their costs.
Sure.
But would you please go over those and get back to me with what you think? So we can report to the selectmen after looking at these things that we would be, this company or that company would be where we would
Just a recommendation for us.
recommend. It's just a recommendation, but as a committee, we would recommend this or that.
Sure.
Okay? Joe?
Okay.
Good. Now, the other thing that I got some information on, and there is, and can be more information, is the Lincoln School. On the Lincoln School, the understanding from the Historical Society is that they would assist and help the town in anything to do with the Lincoln School. Anything to do being, maintenance work, not necessarily maintaining it, because we really don't have.
No, they know the history of
But
it,
they
and
know
what might need to be
history,
done, and.
yes.
And what's been needing to be done and for how long. type of thing.
Exactly. So it's not a case where, why haven't they done anything? Their understanding is they're not the lead. If they are approached, so that is what I found out about the Lincoln School. They're happy to assist and be glad to assist, but they're not the lead on it, and nothing has been brought before them. So that's on that. Okay, Wayne, you have some fire department report stuff,
Yeah.
so why don't you,
So I met with Chief Ham a couple times. He is, it's gonna take him some time in his role, but he did promise me and deliver a report to kind of give me an update on what we already had. He had a copy of the spreadsheet I did last year from Chief Smith. And he touched on a lot of that. Put some current perspective to it. And he's definitely got his hands full, to say the least, so.
yeah,
But I was able to put together an updated spreadsheet.
right. That's this one, Joe?
As you can imagine, the cost of things these days is a little different than it was even a year ago. It's pretty,
Yeah.
but there's seems like there's a lot that's been needing to get done that he's trying to really organize and say, okay, what, just to stop the bleeding, what needs to be done type of thing, and future state, what should we be doing? I think he did a pretty good job putting that together. I know that they did just finally receive the
The tanker,
that we've been waiting on for a couple years now,
4 years or 3 years? 3 years.
so that's finally.
And I'd hate to think what that cost this year. 400,000 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. And it looks like we need more equipment. You know,
With the town, and he touched on some important things, like recognizing that the town has grown quite a bit, and, you can't put the same load on what is now, I would say, limited equipment. I mean, if you double in size, obviously I'm winging it with numbers here, but you can't still expect to get the same jobs done with the same equipment when you had half as many people. So, he's trying to be cognizant of that, and he's trying to do the best he can with how the fire department works with other departments on calls and things to try and, make it work. But I think that he's definitely got a good list together to advocate for, some improvements that seem pretty necessary.
I haven't looked for probably a year. Do we have any idea on the current population numbers?
I think it's around 2,800, but I'm not sure. I couldn't say for sure.
For year-round residents.
Yeah, well,
It's grown,
It's grown quite a bit.
yeah.
I mean,
Like I said, I'm not sure on the numbers, so it could just be feeling that way,
If,
but
if it's year-round residents at 28, because I know for a long time I always thought it was like 27. So 28 sounds reasonable
sure.
with the growth. What is it with summer people? We have the chairman of Warrant and Finance here. Let's ask him if he knows. Dennis, Mr. Long, have you any idea? The, yeah.
If you consider a full-time in the summer, I would say it's probably 8,000,
How many?
6 to 8,
Really? Wow.
I would think so.
Yeah. So that would definitely put a
Yeah.
lot more calls into,
Maybe it's not that much, but
Wow.
I think it's more than that.
And you think it's more, well, you know what? We should find out.
sure.
We should,
who would tell you?
sorry?
I don't know how you would find that out.
Oh, there has to be a way.
It's got to double in the summer. Police traffic seems to.
Right.
Right. But no, there has to be a way.
I meant the total population. I didn't mean it increased by 8,000.
Right, but 3 to 6 or 8,
Yeah.
or 3 to 8, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you figured campgrounds and
Yeah, when you figure the campgrounds in,
businesses having a lot more traffic and than they do in the wintertime when they're,
Yeah.
well, I mean, Iron Tales is closed in winter, so.
right.
There's a lot of homes on the lake that are not occupied year-round.
Yeah,
A lot of them every 50 feet, so.
yeah. Well, you know, if there was no record of that, we could do a little looking with lake associations, because I know even the one on where I live, they have a pretty good idea of, on one street, how many full-time residents are there, how many homes are there, and summer residents, you know, what the difference is. So, and that does, for anybody who thinks that we're going out on a limb here, it does make a difference in how we are as a town prepared to meet the needs of the town,
Sure.
you know. And there are, and I think every one of us recognizes, there is actually, for the fire department, mutual aid.
Right.
But the other towns around us get just as busy in the summer as we do.
Right.
So, you know, asking for mutual aid from one town to the next might not be as easy as one thinks,
Nope.
because they may be calling us for mutual aid.
That's why Chief Ham was talking about, you know, he would like to, where we do have an aging ambulance, if we were able to get a second one, still keep that second ambulance, because he was talking about that there were a lot of calls, you know, he's got all the numbers for this stuff, but
Yep, okay.
where, you know, they'd be out on call and another call would come in and you know,
Well,
we don't have the resource.
Right.
It's in use.
right. That's very interesting.
But we have the manpower, so that's where he's kind of like, you know, I have the people, don't have the equipment
Yeah,
for that particular situation.
well. Excellent. Thank you. That's great research. Joe, have you spoken to land use at all?
Yes, I spoke to Otason.
Yeah,
One of the things he mentioned that he would need to like to update his filing cabinets so that, I'm not sure whether it would be new cabinets or just different cabinets. And he also mentioned a computer to upgrade his computer system such that if he were out on the site, he could log into his computer, it would go back to his main office to see what had transpired in the office in response to what the site he was on. But he said that the main office upstairs wasn't in favor of spending the money, so I don't know. But I told him to make a list of what he would like, and let it go from there. I said, if you don't ask for it, we don't know that you need it.
Right.
That type of thing. But I think that the filing cabinets are a definite upgrade for him. And don't forget, he's coming in, going through the filing, the things, they're trying to sort things out, and so he can acclimate himself to what's going on.
Right.
Plus, doing all the stuff he's doing.
I think that was stuff that was on his list last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Particularly the computer system.
The computer system.
Help him.
Well, I think it should be listed as such, just like the fire department's listed in 2027 in your new truck. We're not gonna buy it today, but at least you have it on the
Well,
radar.
that's-
Right.
And this is part of the problems that we've had over the years, is that there's this sudden need of something, not having planned for it, and subsequently you've got this backpedaling of, are we coming or are we going?
Exactly. And I think that's an important thing, again, for anybody watching us. It's not that we're going to say, we need this today. It came up at, again, the last select board meeting. Some things are critical. Now, I noticed on this, the fire department has which is critical, a telephone system.
Yeah, he was
That
describing how he
you-
was borrowing.
You cannot
phones.
leave a message on the fire department's phone system.
He's got sticky notes on his door.
And, yeah, exactly, you have, and that, our former chief was the same way. If a message came in, it went to one of the office personnel people, and that person had to put a sticky note on the chief's door. It couldn't be, and well, I'm sure that was wonderful, and I'm sure it worked. We've come a long way from
Working
sticky
with
notes.
what he had,
Working with what he had. But we also know that things can get lost in translation. And so there are things that are critical, and that means critical today. There are other things that are,
Communication is critical in that
and
business.
communication is critical in that business. There are other things that are critical, but it might be 3 years from now. So we better be ready in 3 years. And then you have, what are we going to need in 5 years or 10 years? And we like to go out to 15 years. So, that's the, like with Jason, again, I can understand if he goes out, say he's doing 3 inspections, and he's gonna stop and write notes and whatever, if he could, and I know the computers in that office from my time working on the planning board are very old, very, very old, because I know today I can take notes on my smartphone, and when I get home, I can read them on my laptop or my desktop. I may not happen to have both, but I can, send them from here to there. And it doesn't seem like it's outlandish, but the thing is a good computer system with good capabilities, as long as in an area where there's Wi-Fi, is going to cost over the capital improvement, has a bottom line figure, it's $5,000. If it costs over $5,000, if people are wondering, then it's a capital improvement. So Was there anything else, Joe, from him?
The cabinets, computers, not that I recall, I don't have my notes with me, but, I think, yeah. But didn't we go through this in the last meeting? I think it did.
Say what?
We went through this in the last meeting or two, I didn't, I think. Okay, I don't have my notes with me, but those
Okay.
are the two things that I remember.
All right,
I can double check with him if there's something else.
yeah. Gary is not with us tonight, and again, he was going to do some checking on the transfer station. But as I said earlier, there is a lot going on with the transfer station, a lot of moving parts. And I would say hats off to the new superintendent. I think he's doing a good job right now, and he's keeping things moving, and
He is.
he's got a lot of ideas, and in that. The administration business office, which, you know, I'll talk to, and I will admit I have not. It has seemed that, you know, there've just been things going on where, for me to ask the town administrator if I could have, you know, 45 minutes of her time would be not a good thing for her. I don't think she has 45 minutes ever extra, but I do know she's willing to give us the time.
Oh, yeah.
But I have to just, you know, sit down with her and find out what their needs / wants / necessities are
Sure.
for that office. So those are, that's where we are with that. I know in Gary's packet, well, what I can tell you too is the school is working on their budget right now. So with needs for the school, they got the second boiler, which was in our report for last year.
What about I can't remember about the dishwasher. They had to replace that, did they?
No, they have not replaced the dishwasher or the walk-in freezer.
Oh, I forgot about the freezer.
Yeah, those two things. And I believe we haven't come yet to their capital improvements, but I believe the roof needs some major, I don't know if it's major or not, that might be the wrong word,
Maintenance?
maintenance, some, yeah, it needs, again, I'm gonna ask, Mr. Long was at that meeting that I was at. The roof is more than a $5,000 job.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What needs to be done is seams need to be redone, rubber membrane. And hopefully, the school hasn't made a decision yet, but they had said about doing it over a 2-year period. And I suggested that they do it this coming year. And so it's all done behind us. And while the money's there to do it with, without raising taxes. Hopefully they do that. I don't know if they will or they won't. But it's been about 25 years since the seams have been done, so it's definitely time.
I was gonna say, that sounds pretty good for a lifespan on that.
Yeah.
Just like shingles, if you get 25 years like you're supposed to.
Right. The rubber membrane itself is good for, I think, would be maybe 50 or something like that. And really push on the seam, so it's cheaper to do it now than it is to replace it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the roof was on last year's, our report for last year. It was roof upgrades for 24, 25. The dishwasher, the freezer. The boiler has been replaced, and the lighting system has all been changed. So those are some big items that can be ticked off. The needs from there. I was looking at from last year, and we haven't seen the, last year was the filing system and the computers, and I understand that the CEO would not mind a town vehicle. I don't think that's, excuse me, anything in the offing, because that was, if I remember correctly, if, when he was hired, it was to be using his own vehicle. And he gets the government rate on the car, on his vehicle.
Which doesn't cover a whole lot when you're maintaining it.
No, it doesn't, but, I think that's something that we don't need to be involved with at this time, but it's something that the employee can bring up with his employer at any time, and if they say, well, we need X amount of dollars, then it becomes a capital improvement, and we need to look at it then. But I think right now, it's not necessary. But outside of that, look back at this. I think
We covered everything.
I think we've covered everything, and we've done a good job of it. Joe, if you can bring in your notes for the next time, because as soon as we get finished with the school, we'll be able to go from the school, and I will speak with Jennifer on what they might need up here. And we'll be able to, we turned in our report in April. I think it was April,
The report we did last year.
yeah, April 22nd, I think, something like that. And we'll be able to get it done. And then, here we go. Well, whenever it was done, but sometime in April, we'll be able to get it to them. And,
Shouldn't be too bad. We're not starting from scratch this year, so.
oh, it's not so bad because we're not starting from scratch. But it will give us a chance to put it together. We'll get Wayne's information. And I know the school is going to take, probably another 4 or 5 weeks. And that way we can see what theirs is, so we can incorporate it into what we need. And we can do that. So, are there any other questions? Anything else anybody wants to bring up?
I do, but
Yes,
there's
we do have public comment.
There's two things. One is this committee has spent a lot of time researching, crunching numbers. And I think it's been about 2 years. It's been quite a while. And I appreciate the report you turned in last April to the Board of Selectmen. My observation is that, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but it was an awful lot of work by people, to give up an awful lot of time. And there's been no acknowledgement of the plan that you guys put forward to the Board of Selectmen. The other thing I haven't heard anything about is, obviously, you guys are getting all your information from the different departments in town. And as the Warrant Finance Committee Chair, I haven't seen anywhere in the comparisons that any departments are following through with the plan that you guys have developed. I'm not saying that none of them have. All I'm saying is they're not all like the fire department, or they're not all like the school department. Obviously, these capital improvement, these plans change according to the circumstances, like with the school. What they thought 3 years ago is either changed by now, because it had to, or something, but what I would like to see is the selectmen to at least give acknowledgement to your report and take it in consideration through the budget process. And I would also like to, I know it's short term, but at the end of April, our budget season's all over. You know, all the discussions with the Warrant Finance Committee and the selectmen, and usually by then, everything's all over till another year. And I would like to see a 3-year thing, anyway, presented to the Warrant Finance Committee. And I think it's the Warrant Finance Committee's responsibility to look at these figures that you guys have put together, which you've received from the departments, and ask the question to the different departments through the budget process, why or why not? You know, why aren't you asking for this? Why aren't you asking for it? Or why are you asking for it? But I just feel sometimes that the amount of work that you guys are doing, it's getting dropped just before the time is most important.
So do you think we should be getting it done sooner so that it can be put forth sooner and be, have time to have it looked over?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that, I respect all the work you guys have done. I know it's a lot of research and it takes a lot of time. But the people in the Warrant Finance, for example, they don't see this work. And they're supposed to be making recommendations on the financial status of the town and what will we spend our money on, blah, blah, blah. And I think honestly, it's a respect thing. Not that the Warrant Finance Committee is getting respected. What I'm saying is, out of respect for all the work that you guys have done, I think it should be part of the process. And it's chairman of the Warrant Finance Committee, I would more than welcome the data from this committee, because I have said for many years that we need a long-term plan. The schools had one for over 30 years. The fire department's got one. Every department should have one. And somehow, I was hoping it'd work through you guys. These different departments would come up with these plans so that we get all planned for the future, so that we're not hit by something that nobody, we're going to be hit by stuff nobody expects anyway, but I just would like to see the information you guys are doing being part of the process, budget process, because in reality, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that the selectmen, if you do a 3-year if you could present it to the selectmen, I think it'd be awful nice if the selectmen would accept your plan. This is our plan. And realizing it might change, but at least it's acknowledgement and acceptance of the work you guys have done.
And it's not even our plan, it's just us, we're just
This is just what...
plugging it in
Well, this
and,
is what I'm saying, you guys.
You know, it's
you
your
guys
department's
put it all
plans.
together. And you're 100% right, it's really not your plan, it's just,
Yeah.
but you guys are the one that's, like you say, putting it all together.
Yep.
And nobody else has those capabilities. And here's the 3-year plan or whatever, from all the departments, the committee put together.
Sure.
And I think it'd be awful nice if they would accept your plan, and then we'll work from there. Does that make sense? to
Yeah.
you guys?
Yeah.
And I say it that way, like it's not our plan, because if you're talking about accepting a plan, it's like, you're really just accepting your department's
Right.
plans. We're just the paperwork people.
Yeah,
You're volunteering your time,
yeah.
and I just think it's a,
Well, last year, actually,
out there, you know.
last year, we did, 22. We did give them an annual report earlier on. Stating what was available and how it was broken down. And saying that, capital improvement was, I'll just read quick numbers, 33,000 plus. Acton Rec Capital Fund, 29,000 plus. Bridge culvert, 100,000. Total capital funds were 168,279 plus change. That did not include the reserve funds, which were $846,553. So the totals, including everything, were reserved funds, and we know reserved funds are reserved for a particular use. Capital funds are for a particular use. So including the reserve funds, in our annual report, it showed there was $1,014,832.95 in there. So, and it goes on. Now, that was not the multi-page report we gave them, which broke it down by departments. So we can do that, and we can do it sooner, and we can share it with Warrant and Finance, and we're happy to do it. Yes?
And I don't know if you
absolutely.
think we should go off your April report, or a new, whatever.
Right.
I'm just throwing it out there, whatever you guys think.
Good. But I think, that being said, and I will definitely let you two know tomorrow, if you see on our agenda, I had put our next meeting on the 6th of March. On the 15th of March
I was gonna say, am I seeing cross-eyed?
on the agenda. You know numbers get me, whether it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or all that. And that's on this agenda, okay?
Okay.
Would anybody be upset if we move that to the 5th of March?
Is that a Monday?
It's
You want the
Monday.
6th?
Yeah. but
The 6th, the Monday, the
It's fine,
6th?
it's fine with me.
Okay.
You're gonna go at 5 o'clock, correct?
Yep, 5 o'clock on the 6th of March. That puts us, and by then, I'll have my part done. And we'll make sure Gary has his part done, collecting the work. And that gives us, we can more than likely back this in quite a bit. And we'll let the roads know we want to see them.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
roads and,
We'll have them come in like we did last year.
Rec department also.
and the rec department. Yeah, okay,
I think if we get them two, that's pretty well buttons it up.
it does.
The record department, watching their budget meeting, unless they change it, gonna be asking for $50,000-$60,000 above their operating budget from last year. For capital improvement, so obviously they have quite a bit of stuff.
I would think that the parking lot's probably a part of that, cause,
No,
no?
no, it's above and beyond. It's 100% above and beyond.
Cause I know they were talking about trying to expand for
Yeah.
more room and,
And that's still
They-
up in the air because the selectmen decided they had to have it engineered.
Engineered, yeah.
right,
So that put the stop to all that until the selectmen hired an engineer. No, that's above and beyond the 40,000 per parking.
gotcha.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, so are we all in agreement? Yes.
We are.
Joe,
Mhm.
shaking your head?
Yeah, it sounds good.
I believe that's the night about the Warren Finance meeting.
I think it is. Well, we come in at 5.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have anything else, Joe?
Not for now.
Not for now. No. Shall we adjourn?
Yeah,
Motion.
second that.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
There we go. All in favor? Adjourn.
Wayne, do you have another one of these?